after spinning out Harrison Burton under caution during last week's NASCAR Cup Series race at Nashville Superspeedway. Carson Hocevar was fined $50,000 American dollars and lost 25 driver points. Now, this became a recurring theme for Hocevar, a talented young driver who lets his emotions get the best of him. He's Max Verstappen in many respects. Now, we've seen him lose his cool and show immaturity on multiple occasions in the last few years, with the biggest being the 2023 Truck Series season finale at Phoenix, when Hocevar spun Corey Haim while battling for the championship. Hocevar has a reputation for intentionally spinning to bring out cautions and flat out dumping his competitors. Now, onboard footage emerged after the race at Nashville, showing Hocevar going after Todd Gilliland under caution, who spoke for a number of people in the garage area by saying, "I hate this kid, I hate him, honestly." Graphic courtesy there of the NASCAR creative design as well. Now, is Hocevar hurting his chances of landing a top cut ride in the future if these antics continue? And what needs to be done for him to finally learn that this behavior won't be tolerated at this level?
Well, what needs to be done is he needs to be suspended. And I'm not saying that he needs to be suspended for this one particular incident here. I think this is just the latest straw that's broken the camel's back. And I think that it leaves the door open for NASCAR at the next opportunity that this happens under green flag conditions, or if it happens and it's a little bit more egregious than this or more dangerous than this. I said it in our private chat this week as well. I don't think the kid's going to change until he gets taught a lesson in that regard with that harsh of a penalty. Because ultimately, 25 points with where Hocevar is right now, I don't know that makes too much of a difference in this playoff era where, all he would have to do is take a shock win, and, that just completely erases that there. I don't know if that fine's coming out of his pocket or if his sponsors are going to help pay for that. I mean, it's essentially just a slap on the wrist, and it's, a slap on the wrist that is coming for a driver that has, as you mentioned, Josh, this isn't his first sort of incident like this. He's developed a reputation. You saw it in the Truck Series Championship finale last year. You've seen it, at plenty of other truck races throughout his career as he was working his way up. And that, I think, was the one reservation a lot of people had about Hocevar when he got this seat. When nobody was disputing his talent, nobody was disputing his upside. Josh, you just compared him to Max Verstappen. I think that's one of the highest compliments a young driver can receive in terms of talent. But in terms of racecraft, perhaps not so. And, I think I can't help but think back to a comment that Kyle Petty made in 2012 after Jeff Gordon took out Clint Boyer at Phoenix and was calling for Gordon to be suspended. It didn't matter, but he was a four-time champion. He talked about Kyle Busch and Ron Hornaday at Texas the previous year, taking Hornaday's shot at a truck championship away. And people might counter that argument. This is Kyle Petty bringing this up and saying, people might say, well, look at all that Kyle Busch did. But his counterpoint to that was, look, if NASCAR had stepped in a couple of years earlier when Kyle Busch was, dealing with all these antics and retaliations, then maybe we wouldn't have gotten to the point where he intentionally took out Ron Hornaday in a dangerous right rear hook Texas Motor Speedway when, the trucks were still traveling, essentially at green flag speed. The caution had only just come out. It was a very dangerous situation for Busch to put Hornaday into. And if NASCAR had put the hammer down a little bit sooner, maybe we wouldn't have gotten to that point. So again, I think, it's too late now. You already fined him and docked him points. That's going to be the punishment for this incident. But I think, Carson Hocevar is on not even 2 strikes. He's on 2.99 repeating strikes. I think the next opportunity that NASCAR has after an incident like this, assuming one happens, maybe Hocevar gets the message now and cleans his act up. I haven't seen anything that would indicate that this is going to be enough to do that. But I think I would be totally ready to suspend Carson Hocevar for a race. And I think that's unfortunately what it's going to take. I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope that he recognizes that his driving is not going to be tolerated if he continues on this path, especially at the Cup level. I mean, it shouldn't be tolerated at truck level either, but especially in the NASCAR Cup Series. I think the response was very telling, from not just Todd Gilliland, but I think Ryan Hines got on Twitter and responded to that quote and saying, like, everybody does, or we all do, or something like that. It seems to be a very common sentiment in the garage that Carson Hocevar has not made very many friends based on his driving over the last several seasons here. So we'll see. I don't wish any ill will on him. I hope the best for him and his career, and that he can get it together. But I think, unfortunately, it's going to take a suspension for him to do just that.
Do you think he's got the potential to be a Cup Series level driver? Because we haven't been seeing it so far this year. So do you think he can grow into that position?
Well, Josh, I don't know if I fully agree with that. I think we've seen the potential. I think he's outrun certainly Zane Smith, and again, credit to Zane Smith. I was going to say that for the hots and knots, but a fantastic second place finish for him. But before that, really the lowest ranked car among all the full-time chartered entries, and Corey LaJoie, I mean, he's been in that Spire car for 3.5 years now, and just hasn't seemed to display the same level of progression forward that Hocevar even has in just his first full-time season here. So I don't know off the top of my head, like, how many top 10s or top 20s Hocevar has here. I'm trying to pull that up here. It looks like 2 top 10s this season, and in the top 20 about as often as not. So I think that where Spire is right now, I think we have seen glimpses of potential from Hocevar in terms of raw pace and in terms of talent. It's the racecraft and how he races others that needs a lot of work. And I think, Kyle Busch, again, was very similar. Nobody was denying how fast he was, but did he have the racecraft and the integrity necessary to be a Cup champion? And you know what? Kyle Busch cleaned up his act. He's a 2-time Cup champion now, and surefire bet to go in the Hall of Fame. I'd like to say not even first ballot. He's a don't even need a ballot Hall of Famer. He is an all-time legend of the sport. I would not put that past Carson Hocevar with the speed that he has shown. I want to make that very clear. It's not an indictment on Hocevar's talent or anything. He absolutely deserves a Cup Series opportunity, but he has to respect that opportunity by respecting others on the track, and he has not proven that he can do that at this point in his career. He is only 21 years old, so I think all teenagers and early 20-somethings are dealing with some level of immaturity. I can certainly speak to certain opinions, certain things that I've done and said over the last several years, and how I've matured now. I just turned 25 this weekend here, so I understand what he's going through in that regard. I don't understand any of the driving behind the wheel of a race car, obviously. I'll defer to him on that, but I don't think that should disqualify people like you or I, Josh, from calling out unacceptable behavior on the track when we see it. And I think this was one of those instances where it crossed the line this weekend, no doubt.